Those girls are still sleeping on that bed.
Jordan.
Good morning. I'm Kevin Day, Chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. Today is January 31st, and I will call to order this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I would like to remind everyone to silence their cell phones and
The meeting's starting.
Silence your cell phones, please.
I would also like to remind everybody that court is in session right here at the end of the hall as well. So if we can keep it down out in the hall as well so that they can have their court session, I would appreciate that. Thank you. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tell us if we have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Okay, we have quite a few people here, but we will do a quick audience introduction. And then later, if anyone is going to speak, if you could give us your name again so that we can make sure we have that for the record. The same will be for anyone joining from Zoom that would like to speak later, if they could identify themselves. Start right here.
Braden Wilson, Director of Finance and HR.
Bill Wolf.
Peggy Collins.
Chris Kahn. James Gilbert.
Jeff Canterbury.
Kayla Day Wetmore.
Quentin Weber.
Let's go back. We'll go back here in the corner.
There's a lot of people in the hall too.
I will catch them. I'm trying to catch those in the room first. Thank you.
John Wilcox.
Gordon Greer. Stephen Wilcox. Eric Foster. Rob Seeley.
Ron Hollingsworth. Don Wilcox.
Those in the hall, if they would like to introduce themselves, please.
There's about 30 people out here. Is
Okay.
there any way that you can encourage everybody to speak very loudly so that can try to be heard out here? I know it's going to be difficult.
We will do our best. And like I said, we also have the court in session, so we have to be cognizant of that as well.
Thank you.
So
You can ask them to identify themselves. They want to step up and say right now,
if they so desire.
You want each one of them to step up?
if they want to. Yeah.
If they want to.
If not, make sure that they do sign the sign-in sheet.
They're all signing a list.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Thank you then.
Mr. Chairman, might I suggest that we adjourn downstairs?
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
What's your gentleman's pleasure?
I'm good with
I am
that.
good with here.
I could go downstairs. It's probably a better thing, but it's okay with me. You guys are. Okay.
I think we'll stay where we are. Anyone that would like to speak, we will make sure that they can speak. Any amendments to the agenda? No.
No, we could consider moving this agenda item up in front of the other two. I think would be smart now.
You said you'd be 10 to 15 minutes on the one.
Yeah, and we do have a gentleman that's presenting. He's planning on that at that time. So
Okay.
So do you want to amend that to move that forward or not? I'll move to do that. If you want to not do it, don't second it.
Would you schedule a speaker to come in
yeah,
What time?
based on the agenda the way it is?
I'm not sure if he's on right now, but I think he was supposed to be. That way he's ready whenever.
On the phone? Can you see who it is?
He's on.
Is he on?
Ryan Wilson.
Yes, he's on.
Okay, he is on.
Yep. All right. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to ratify the agenda to add the 3 words on the last item of business. It says discussion of the AT&T tower. I would move to amend that to add proposed lease change. Proposed lease change.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to add proposed lease change to the last item of our agenda. Any discussion on that?
It's just an oversight on my part when I asked to be on the agenda.
Could y'all please speak up? We can't hear you back here.
We have a motion on the floor to add 3 words to the last item on the agenda. Those 3 words would be proposed lease change. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And then, Mr. Chairman, I would also move to add an agenda item, quote, ratifying signing the reimbursement request for the RREO grant. End of quote.
Repeat that, please.
Yes. Ratification of chair's signature for the RREO grant.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to add to the agenda ratification of the signature for the RREO grant. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
List is going around. Be sure you sign it so Kelly's got a record of who was here.
Okay. I believe we'll leave the agenda as stated in the order it was stated so that the gentleman we have there will be able to attend. Approval of the minutes, January 31st and February 1st.
I move we accept the minutes as presented for January 31st and February the 1st.
Second. Any discussion, comments on those? Hearing none, then those in favor of approving the minutes for January 31st and February 1st signify by saying aye.
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 Thanks, Kelly, for catching up, and doing it.
Commissioner items. Oh,
Thank you, sir. I've got several here. I won't go through my calendar today. But I would like to bring up some things. I think we need to probably put something on the agenda and have a discussion about our custodial hours. Maybe consider hiring another part-time person to come in and assist.
What date? 5th or 6th? What is one of the 2 days?
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me particularly. I could pull up
There's not much on the 5th. I would think let's put it on the 5th for consideration of custodial job.
could you add that, Dorothy, to our 5th meeting, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And then I also wanted to update you on the door issue over at the food pantry for human resources. I brought in some temporary stops for those doors so the wind doesn't continue to blow them open and tear them off the hinges. I'm gonna get with Dave. I think what we'll end up doing is digging a couple of holes and setting some 2 3/8 pipe in there, concreting them in, and then attaching some kind of a locking mechanism to hold those doors open. I've talked with Human Services about that, and they like that idea. So I also wanted to report that the underfunded courts did grant our extensions as well as 2 other counties had some extensions. So we did a vote by mail or by email, and those extensions were all approved by the Underfunded Courts Commission. And then I had sent you a document concerning the congressional directed spending plan. I reached out to the individual that sent those to us and asked him if he thought funding construction of a justice center would be appropriate for that. And he said, absolutely. That's exactly the kind of projects that they want to target. So the problem with that is the paperwork's got to be in by April the 8th. Did you have a chance to read the doc I sent you or not? I can pull it up, but
Yes, I did.
So I don't know. I just thought when I read that whole thing, I thought, wow, here may be an opportunity to seek some funding for that.
So I was thinking similarly, so we can move on. We need to discuss the grant strategy we've got for the current grants that we have that we can use now, and whether we turn in the invoices or that we've already spent, the money have budgeted already. So we need to discuss that. Why don't we put that on the 5th for just a discussion on the Justice Center grants, and what do you want to call that other?
Well, it's congressionally directed spending initiative.
So
Yeah, we might put that on there as well. That would give us a couple of days to get the paperwork done
Yeah.
if we wanted to pursue that.
okay,
We can put that on the,
we can clean up what you say about it afterwards.
How do you
It's
want-
consideration of the Justice Center grant strategy.
anything else, sir?
Well, I think if we deal with that on the 5th, it'll be a moot point by then, but if we want to try to do something in 2 days and submit it by the 8th, that's fine too.
You can see.
But just wanted to bring that forward. And then also I attended the Colorado Front Range Transportation regional Zoom meeting the other day, and we have an opportunity to submit a grant request to that group for addressing this dirt slope portion of the curb down here by the highway. We've had some issues with people trying to get out of their car and deal with that slope. Very tricky when it's covered with snow. People try to actually walk up that. And we've seen 2 people fall. So I brought that up at that transportation region meeting, and they encourage us to bring forth a request for that. Our region gets funding for those kind of projects. So I met with Gabriel Shank from West Cliff, and we looked at that whole thing. And so if it's all right, if you gentlemen would agree to that, I will move that project forward. And I think we have a meeting in Canyon on April the 5th. So I'll go down in the afternoon after our meeting on the 5th. if we agree to move forward. with
I think it's a good idea. There was a couple other ideas. I was at that meeting too, and there was a couple other ideas like the Carita Bridge project, maybe a historic thing. And then somebody else brought up to my attention, Custer statue deal is going around. I don't know. We'll have to see. But there are maybe other opportunities if we understand the timeline.
Yeah,
If you're going to go down there,
April
that'd
8th
be,
is not a deadline. It's just a meeting to bring
Right.
forward grant ideas and then work through.
is it the 8th or the 5th, you said? It's at the afternoon of the 5th, right? At 1.
So if you
I think that
gentlemen
would be good
would
with
agree
that.
with that, I'll move that project forward. I think the general idea here is to remove all of that dirt, put in a retaining wall to support the existing sidewalk, and then pour another sidewalk at curb level so people can pull up, step out onto that sidewalk, walk down to a set of steps and come up onto the sidewalk that's existing. The big issue is if people park, and I've done it, and I've watched other people sitting right here do it, if they park away from that curb far enough so somebody can open the door and get out without interfering with the curb, there's a good chance somebody's gonna get clipped on that highway. And that's
Or lose a door.
that's what the modal grant thing is all about, is dealing with those kinds of issues, others as well, but certainly safety comes to the top of the list. So I think we'd stand a pretty good shot of getting that funded. I've reached out for a preliminary bid on the concrete work. Haven't heard back yet, but I hope to have those numbers before I go to that meeting on the 5th. All right, thank you. That's all I have. I will bother with my calendar.
Okay, just real quick, three things, because we can move on with a lot of people. The airport is proceeding to get the tank in. It's progressing good. And I'll give a report on that on the meeting. They'll be here on next meeting anyway. So we'll catch up on that. The Fair Board is working on, they were trying to figure out how to deconflict fair with rodeos. And they've decided to keep things as they are and integrate it. And then later come up with an idea that makes a big weekend of fair boards and where rodeos and those kinds of things together. So it's going to expand and be much better. Stay tuned for that. And then I had a good talk. Broadband fiber program's going great right now. Hit a setback, but I had a meeting with Carmel and Eric Werpluski and Debbie Bell because they're trying to do stuff down there as well. They're going to go through a study like we did initially and then tie in what we're doing and partner up later. So it was the discussion possibly. Anyway, that's for the big fiber program. The meeting's going to be scheduled, a program review with the two towns and us. That's what they're working now to give us a status. In the meantime, they're starting to do the project as we had planned and start putting fiber into addresses in town and in Silver Cliff, West Cliff. So we'll get caught up on the progress. And that's all I have. We'll move on.
Okay, the only thing I'll bring this morning is we did receive a letter from Sangre de Cristo Electric wanting us to designate a voting member from our board. And they're wanting this back in their office by April 5th.
Voting member for what?
Be for the Sangre de Cristo board. I'll read it here, a short part. I was trying to see here or spoke to that. Because we are an electric user, we are owners, partial owners, because they are co-op. And they are wanting to know our organization name, address, mailing address, the name of the designated person to vote on
Speak up.
elections. So
Oh, good.
You know, the board of directors changed their policy that required a name of record for every. So I would move that we designate Kevin Day, the chairman, to be our voting member.
Chairman.
They have an election in June, but
I'll second that.
there's maybe other things at their annual meeting that may be voted on.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to designate myself as the voting member on the Sangre de Cristo Electric Association Board.
So generically, it's the chairman that would be there as we rotate chairs.
Yes,
Okay,
Well, that was not my motion.
okay.
but
I believe it's a one-year
As chair,
designation anyway.
yeah, as chair, Kevin Day.
So the motion is for Kevin Day to serve as that designate.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. I will get this filled out and sent back in. Okay, Clint, do you have
Can I
any?
ask who you've just voted to be on something?
Uh,
We can't hear anything.
Okay, that was a letter we had from Sangre de Cristo Electric to designate someone from our board to vote at their annual meeting. And because we are a co-op user, it'd be just like you're using their electric, you have a vote at that meeting as well. There's only one person allowed to vote from the county per se because of us being a single user.
And who did you vote on?
My
Chairman.
Okay. So they voted Kevin Day to be the voting member at annual meeting for Sangre de Cristo.
Clint, do you have anything for us today, sir?
Yeah, very briefly, there was an issue about a road, Hyatt Road in Cuerna Verde. That a property owner thought was blocked and that it was a county issue. I looked into that. The county does not maintain that road. And it does not appear that it was a road that was blocked. It was some people were using a driveway belonging to another property owner to access their property because of a washout in that area. But its bottom line is it wasn't a county issue. And I referred them back to how to talk to the other property owners and work something out on it to get access to their property. Also, I sent the three of you, excuse me, a memo regarding a resolution that was passed back in December in my absence, and some suggestions about perhaps replacing that with a different resolution. And I believe that will be an agenda item next week. You received a letter from an attorney concerning a demand letter that had been received previously back in February, and at your direction, I have responded to that. And there was a follow-up asking basically for the same thing, and my suggestion was it didn't require another response, so that's where that stands. And then finally, Dorothy, going through things here, found something that had come in for me that was supposed to be given to me back in October, I guess, of 2019. I'd frankly forgotten about this, but it was a class action lawsuit that originated out of Kane County, Utah, against the federal government for underpayment of PILT funds. And in October of 2019, Custer County got its share, $10,639 for underpaid PILT funds. And by the time that's divided up among all the entities that are entitled to those PILT funds, I have no idea how much the county actually got out of that, but that was settled, and I was not aware. I'd forgotten all about that, to tell you the truth. That's all I had to report on.
I think we're about $1,200.
1,200.
What day is that agenda item on, Clint? Do you know?
I think we were talking about putting it on the 6th, yeah.
It is on Wednesday the 6th. Okay, Dorothy, do you have anything for us today?
Just a follow up from our last meeting, we talked about the mileage reimbursement. The IRS is reimbursing mileage at 58.5 cents. So we will go, it's my understanding, we will go to that, or
I would move to follow the IRS guidelines for the reimbursement
What we
mileage for
do.
county employees.
I'll second. That's what we do.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to change our reimbursement to match the federal reimbursement at 58.5 cents per mile. Discussion on that?
So that is in the policy that we automatically follow the IRS. So it,
So that,
Yeah, this way we have it on the public record, if nothing else. Yeah.
It's announced.
okay, it will be part of the record that way. So any other discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that's all you had, Dorothy?
Yes.
We do have an opportunity at this time for public comment for anything that's not going to be discussed on the agenda later. If someone would like to make public comment at this time, identify yourself and we'll let you speak. Did you have something?
I do, Ann Barthrop. I don't know who to go to on the conditions of the hard scrabble when it's snowing and they're plowing 2 feet of snow into the opposite lane and almost causing wrecks with those snow plows. So I don't know who to go to, if we go through you guys. It'd be appreciated to know the direction.
That would be, you could contact the local CDOT over here that's just north of town, where there is their main office is in Pueblo.
I'm looking for that name. right now.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
but locally, if you wanted to come right over here to the state shop, that's right there next to the hotel there leaving town on the north.
Okay. It's not happened in one whiteout. It's happened on 2 or 3 lately. And it's caused some wrecks and caused some bad issues. So everybody be careful.
Yeah, and if I may,
Dan?
Bob Pfeiffer is the Transportation Systems Management and Operations person with CDOT. Bob Pfeiffer, F-I-F-E-R.
All right, thank you.
I got a phone number for him. I'll give it to you.
I'll give you the number if you want.
He's got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Peggy Collins. I just want to publicly thank Road and Bridge for all their hard work through these last few weeks of snow. They've done a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate a pat on the back now and then too, so appreciate that. Anyone else?
Okay, I got one thing to tag on to what she just said. Road and Bridge doing a great job. Want to remind you, we had a civilian as they were raiding, they were pulling the shoulder up on Grape Creek just the other day, and I think you're aware of it. If you're not, they called me because they knew me. He crossed it and then he straddled it. Don't do that. The protocol is follow the grader. If they see you follow, and they'll feather it out and you can get around, and he'll back up and start again. But if you go around it, it's your own risk. They got it flagged, and he blew out his oil pan and ruined his engine. It was on BMW. So just to be, they look for you. That grader, he can see you, and they know if you're following, and everybody's in a hurry. But he hit 2 rocks and it was out.
They can see you if you're not tucked right in behind them.
Right.
Leave them some room, make sure they know you're there. Because if you're tucked right in behind them, they may decide they need to back up and they can't see you as well, and that presents a pretty big problem. So there are rocks. Everybody knows that. So when they've got that windrow, not a good plan.
He was hoping the county could help him fix his engine, but not when it's his. If it was something that we did that was out of control, then our insurance would have covered. All right.
You can go around them then?
No, not you. If you try, you should follow them, but it's up to you. I mean, you can try to get around and go over that berm, but that's at your own risk.
Okay.
I would say as well, at the most, they would have a mile of road cut. Usually it's a lot shorter than that, especially if they're using a water truck. So it's not that far that you have to follow.
Right.
And exercise just a little patience and you'd be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Do we have any unfinished business?
None for me.
No, sir.
I will take us to new business then at this time. First thing would be consideration of the AP and out of cycle checks.
Skip one, so it's cleared up.
No,
No,
AP's first.
AP.
ClearGov is the second item on my agenda here.
so my revised agenda is,
Not revised.
I was going off the one we had this morning on paper.
yeah,
Okay, you are up there.
Alrighty, good morning, everyone. I sent out the financial reports for March, and of course, one of those is the payroll report, which we will not vote on, but is just for information. And so then my suggestion would be to start on the accounts payable report, and then we'll move on to out of cycle report. Happy to answer any questions.
pull that one up. You said AP first.
I move that we accept the, what does AP stand for?
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable, yeah. Report, and we could do that. You want to do the out of cycle in the same motion, or are we going to do them separate?
Separate if we can.
Accounts payable.
Second that. Couple of questions,
I did
but
that.
do you guys, anyone here have any?
I've got a couple, but go ahead.
Okay, page 15.
Don't you steal my thunder, you rascal.
Okay, I gave you an opportunity.
I know, I appreciate that.
Black Hills, huh?
Okay, Black Hills, energy, that's, I just had a question here, on that. Because under the account description, it says scale readings. So I'm confused a little bit.
See here.
Bottom one does say it's scale, but the other one doesn't say it, but it says scale readings. That must just be the category of the way it looks.
Sorry.
It is on page 15 on our report.
Let me double check on that one, because it is supposed to be for 205 South 6th Street, but it seems a little high for the scale house specifically, so.
Yeah, when I read it, I had the same question. I assumed it was for energy charge. It didn't have anything to do with the scale, but because that scale house is not on a separate meter.
The one underneath it, it says scale after 6th Street, and the one above it doesn't, and it's in the same category with scale readings. It looks like a block computer deal. So, and so what would that power be? Because on, if you back up to 16 or go forward, you see a reading for $2,000 for Black Hills. But that's a Rosita Ave address. So we can look at it.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I suspect that the dollar amount's right. I just assume it's for Black Hill bill.
Yeah, I was just a little confused as how that was listed.
Okay. I didn't have any accounts payable questions of it
Yeah.
personally.
And if I may, sir, I did have a question and I followed up on that on page 16 for an example. It's where it showed up for me was the JBBS expenses. I thought that was a grant. It's not. It's a state legislated program. So those are not grant dollars. The jail-based behavioral services program ran through the sheriff's department. I had a question if those were grant dollars. They're not. That's budgeted state dollars. Judicial.
Okay.
And I'll just throw one more question at you then on page 25. About halfway down the page. Castle and glass. Was that to put up glass barriers or because it was marked as immunizations? Yes.
Page 25, item vendor 271. Immunizations for $650 for glass shield, apparently. Which I believe they did. Had McCaslin up here doing them, I know.
Looks like it was refrigerator glass replacement.
Yeah.
Door must have got broken on that. Something. Back to the refrigerator. Wow.
That's all I'll hit you with this morning then.
Thank you.
I had one other question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Page. Really, I think it shows up twice. Page 23 on Vernon Roth is running in here. And then again, I think it's on page 17. So my question, I think it's under 2650. You see it on page 17.
Yep.
There's coroner and IT reimbursement. Do we break those out separately or?
Looks like it was probably submitted as one invoice, which isn't wrong, but maybe just not as clean.
Okay.
So it would have come up, it would be in the same invoice and you would have put one being coroner and one being the IT reimbursement as separate lines. So it does get where it needs to go, but it
Just
shows
doesn't
as
show
one
up here
invoice.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And you had none? Okay, those in favor then of accepting the AP report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now we can go to cycle.
I would move that we approve the out of cycle checks as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the out of cycle checks as presented. Any discussion on those?
Well, just following up on our monthly conversation, it appears to be a relatively significant dollar amount here, but part of that was making our first payment to John or Four Rivers. Excuse me, it really is John Deere credit. So if you take that out of there, it's not such a huge amount. But Kelly, do you have those amounts or do you want them?
Braden usually sends them to me, so.
Okay, those in favor of accepting the out of cycle checks as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Done. So next piece, consideration of ClearGov budgeting software. Reason being for this, I had a conversation, was very fortunate to meet Ryan Wilson up at a conference I was at in November last year. And given kind of some of the struggles and challenges that we face with the budgeting process and the budgeting timeline, seems like they might have a solution that would work well for us. We were able to meet here more recently and go over kind of the finer points of the software and what that has to offer. And I think this would be good for the county. It would free up time, I think, across everyone. It would free up spending an entire week here, all of us together, and bringing everybody in. And there's a lot of transparency here too that I think is important to be able to show very easily to the public through a website exactly what's going on. And so Ryan is on the call with us here, and I think has a short presentation for us, and then we'll go into kind of a question and answer session. So I think if that's all right, we can move that direction.
Absolutely. Thank you, Braden. I'm assuming everybody can hear me there in the room okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Could I get sharing screen ability from the host, if you guys don't mind?
Hang tight.
All right. Well, as I do this, really what I'm hoping to do today is, like Braden mentioned, give you guys just kind of a 5 to 7 minute overview of ClearGov. I understand we have several residents sitting in the hallway that might not be able to see the screen. So I'll do my best to describe what's on the screen for you guys out there in the hallway. But give you kind of, here's the 1 minute overview of ClearGov, and then be able to walk you through a bit of a demo of just what this would look like, a little bit on the back office for the commissioners and for Braden, but also to the residents when they're looking at the budget after it's produced. So I'll go ahead and get right into it. I know you can't see my screen yet, but just let me know when we're good, Braden, and I'll start sharing my screen. But as we've talked to different municipalities in Colorado, cities, counties, we've really learned that a lot of them are currently using Excel to build out the budget and then to communicate that budget through PDFs, Excel documents. And, don't have to tell you, but that process can be tedious, time consuming, like Braden mentioned, and disjointed. And while the process you have in place may be fine, the tools to get you there, you might be outgrowing. So that's where ClearGov comes into play. However, most GovTech out there isn't really built for local governments. Oh, there we go. I'm spotlighted and I can share my screen. So most GovTech is not really built for local municipalities, and that it can be very time consuming to get up and running, often very expensive. So that's where ClearGov comes into play. We create easy to use software to help government budget better. We're actually working with several of your neighbors in Colorado that are turning to us to help build out this budget. So some counties that I can think of off the top of my head, Huerfano County, Alamosa County, San Miguel County. We even were endorsed by NACO, exclusively the National Association of Counties, as the premier choice for counties like yourself to build and communicate the budget. So we deliver what we call Just Right software. We're built specifically for local governments, and we primarily focus on governments that are more on the smaller end, small to mid-size end. And this is where I'll wrap up today. This is specifically what we have to offer, what I had discussed with Braden, both at the CGFOA conference and in a couple meetings we've had leading up to this. But basically, you can think of ClearGov in two different, two sides of the same coin. One side is helping you, helping the finance team and the commissioners build out the budget and communicate the budget, putting together the different pieces and requests, getting requests in from department head and managing that instead of using Excel. And the second side would be communicating that to residents in a very clear format. So what I'll do today is show you a little bit of what the back office would look like for the commissioners and for the finance staff. And then I'm going to spend some time showing you what it will look like to your residents. So starting off in the back office here, ClearGov, we're cloud-based. So when you guys are ready to start building out the budget, Braden would come in here, we would upload your data into our system for you, and then you'd be able to build out your budget through ClearGov instead of managing several Excel sheets. You'll see here on this screen, you can get a progress bar letting you know which department heads have submitted. So like I mentioned, you can add several contributors, like the ability to add department heads who get a portion of the budget to make requests. You can even add commissioners who can see the entire budget as it's being worked on, make comments on it, but maybe not mess with the spreadsheet that Braden might be working on. We can see that we have a metrics bar. So this is letting you know, do we have a projected surplus or projected deficit as you work to balance the budget? And then down below, we have our chart and the spreadsheet where you start working on the budget. Or I kind of like to call this the spreadsheet on steroids. All of the formulas are built in, nothing to break. And it's really helping. And keep in mind, this is the back office tools. This side of things is what just the commissioners and the administration would see. But you can see historically, have I been consistently under budget in the green here, or have I been historically over budget? So this visualization is showing you trends of the data, helping bring that to life and helping y'all make better informed decisions as you decide what we're going to do in this next year's budget. But you'll see below, there's several ways to come in and make changes. You could simply just change the dollar amount, which would auto update the percentage, or give something a percentage increase, which would auto update the dollar amount. Department heads even have the ability to come in here and give a specific breakdown as to why they want to make a request. So you can see in this example, I'm showing uniforms for the sheriff's office. Well, maybe you want to break down that $20,000 or $5,000 request into here's the uniforms we're buying, here's the hats we're buying, here's the badges. So it kind of, you're able to give more justification and accountability on the department head side of things as to why you're making a decision. So that's a little bit of the back office. There's a couple other bells and whistles on here, like the ability to have attachments, an audit trail, or a report builder. But next, what I want to show you is what this will look like to the residents that are sitting in this room and the residents across the county. So right now, when you guys publish the budget, you're doing what a lot of municipalities we see do is you're putting together a print first, web second budget document. And we found the issue with that is one, every time you update the budget, you have to re-upload this PDF. And two, the average resident sees this and it can be daunting to know what certain things mean, where to go. So what ClearGov is going to be able to offer you guys is the ability to automatically turn that document or the budget you're working on into an interactive web-based budget book. So if I'm a resident or if I'm a commissioner interested in seeing different portions of the budget, instead of going through 100 pages of a PDF, I'm able to break down exactly what I'm interested in seeing through these different drop-down menus here. And what I'm showing you here, this is Huerfano County, but you can see they've put together their budget using ClearGov. And if I'm interested in looking at the general fund, I can go directly to that and even be able to interact with the budget. So as I highlight over the numbers, I see the exact number that I'm looking for, or even could say, you know, what if I took out taxes? How would that impact the chart here? Well, what if I'd like to look at this in a different format? That spreadsheet breakdown you see here will be there for you as well. And another, added benefit to you guys is as you update the budget, these numbers are updating with it. So if you have a proposed budget that you'd like to show to the residents, they'd be able to see this. And then you come in and save your adopted budget. All of these numbers will update for you. So you don't have to build out an extra budget book for them to see, giving them more access to the budget as soon as possible. One other thing I'll point out is you can actually print this to PDF. So it's not just an online budget book. It's going to automate for you an entire PDF budget document that has a cover page, footer, page numbers, even this table of contents is pre-linked. So you still have that ability to print this to PDF for your records as well. One other thing ClearGov will be able to offer you guys is this transparency center. And this is where I'll wrap up today. But if you can think of the budget book as what's going to happen next year, the transparency center is what's happening today. So you're able to update this with year-to-date actuals to say, hey, here's how we're performing on different budget items. I can come down. So I have this example here, a transparency center for one of our clients that we feel has done a really good job. But you can see one, a demographic snapshot. So we already have this information from the Census Bureau for Custer County. We have all of your demographic information that will be in this really nice kind of demographic breakdown. But I can also come down and see how are we performing on the budget within the expenses and revenues, even be able to break this down in a really easy way further. And y'all are able to add commentary around it to say, hey, there might be an increase in one department. Here's why that's happening. And it's instead of just putting the data out there and making it available, you're helping residents understand the data and why budget changes are happening the way that they're happening. A couple other things I'll point out on this transparency site is the ability to add projects. So if there's certain projects that y'all want to communicate to your residents and keep them informed, you can add them very easily to this project page. We give you a template in the back office to add in that information. But let's say in this example here, they're working on some road construction that the residents, the constituents are very want to be informed about. Well, you'll see they've added some images here. They've added a description, and then the residents, especially the ones in this room, can come in here, subscribe via email to project updates, share to Facebook or Twitter, but they can be informed anytime an update is made to that project, see where, on a map that would be located within the county, and even see the projected timeline versus the current updates, as well as the projected budget and the updates within that. So that's how the projects are communicated. The last thing that you guys would be able to see within the Transparency Center here is these department dashboards. So if the commissioners wanted to create a dashboard or maybe a dashboard for the sheriff's department, you're able to come in here and make these dashboards to communicate whatever type of information you want to show in a really easy to update and easy to read format for your constituents. But that's a little bit of ClearGov. Like I mentioned, you have the back office of really saving a ton of time for the finance department and for commissioners building and reviewing the budget. And then you have the second end of making the budget a little bit more clear to residents through interactive web-based formats that are automated based off of what you've done in the back office. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop my screen share here and open up the floor. You mentioned wanting to have a bit of a Q&A. So answer any questions that the commissioners have at this time.
I got two quick ones. How secure is it and how hackable isn't it? And how much does it cost?
Yeah, two really good questions. I'll start with the cost because really for a county of y'all size wouldn't be a lot of money. We're doing a pilot program right now for smaller counties, but y'all would be looking at $10,000 annually and a one-time setup fee of $3,000. The second question that you had was on the subject of security. We are on Amazon Web Services, which is the same services that the FBI uses. So it's very secure.
Helps.
We work with over 500 municipalities across the country that need this to be secure, not hackable. So we have and I think I sent over a document to Braden. That's a proposal, a large PDF. Don't know if y'all have that in front of you, but you'll see in the table of contents there's a section on security that goes into more detail, the measures we put in place to make sure we're protecting your data.
Okay, thank you.
Can we submit this budget to the state electronically using ClearGov?
I'm not sure if the state allows you to submit this electronically, but that's why we included that print to PDF functionality where you could submit that PDF that automates for you as well.
Thank you.
I guess I would ask in regards to our conversion this last year to the CIC system, functionality between those two. And I guess I would ask Braden as well for some of his thoughts on this. But
Ryan, do you want to handle kind of what that conversion process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So ClearGov, we work with every accounting system on the planet. We're familiar with CIC. Basically, Braden would send us a couple of reports from that system. And then we have a team of data onboarding consultants that are made up of former government CFOs that will then map out your data for you and have that reflected within the system. When you're done building the budget, you simply would export a report from ClearGov and import that back into CIC.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just some general thoughts. I guess first on the price. One thing is this is a pilot program, and we worked between my asking and Ryan doing some digging there on their side for us to be part of this pilot program. So they've not done a program like this before. It's, I think, specified towards smaller government sizes. And so versus I think it was going to be a little over $20,000 annually originally. This brings us down to 10,000 and gives us a good chance to try this product out, for a year and decide, is this something we want to continue with? I think just based on what I'm seeing and what we've gone through, there's going to be some things that we tighten up, of course, based on the budget process. But I think this is a really good opportunity to really cut down on the time that it takes to prepare the budget, which time is money. And every time that if all four of us are in here for a week and we're bringing in different department heads, we have to kind of add up what we're taking away from to do that. And then plus the budget book, which takes a considerable amount of time in my office. The thing that's, I think the decision kind of comes down to, I'm absolutely able to do those things. But what is that taking me away from in other ways? And so we talk a lot about, policy and getting the policy book up to date and different things like that. I think this is an opportunity to make it a little easier to do the budget, which has to be done, and gives more time to really showing up our policy and our job descriptions and some of these things that we've brought up as issues before. I'm really, I think one of the things, just from taking off my county employee hat, I think just the public side of it, being able to see, you can go in and put in your property tax and it'll tell you exactly how much of your property tax is going to what in the county. And so if I paid $1,000, I can see that $100 is going to the sheriff's department, or, $85 is going to road and bridge. And I think that at least helps frame some discussion, hopefully a little better than kind of being ignorant to it altogether and not knowing where the money is going. We can very easily say, like, this is where the money's going, and kind of go about it that way. So there's some exciting things there, I think, that are opportunities, and I think that kind of holds certainly my feet to the fire, is making sure everything is up to date and is running well, because the public can see it a lot easier now and make sure that I'm doing my job.
I'm assuming you're okay with us deferring a decision, not making that today. This is more informational.
Ryan, just a quick, we put it on the agenda before other items had come on the agenda, in a way that if we needed to vote on it today or wanted to vote on it today, we could. Ryan, if I remember, you said that there is a price increase going up to tomorrow. Is that correct?
Of course.
No, sorry.
There is a price increase. I'm not exactly sure. This pilot program is kind of outside of the normal realm of how we operate as far as price increases are concerned, because $10,000 isn't even in our rate card. I can get back to you if you guys delay the decision. I can get back to you on that, on whether the price would increase after this, after today, like it is for the rest of our municipalities signing on. I guess because we're offering that lower rate and we only have 5 municipalities that are going to be a part of this, I'm not sure if that's a part of that. So let me make a quick email and I'll get some information on that.
Yeah, I got a quick one. I was going to ask that question. How soon can you be ready to actually give us the options, and here's what you're going to get, and here's how we're going to proceed and what the cost is? I would tend to agree with what he just said. I can't imagine if it's a pilot and they want us to participate, they're going to jack the price up now. So I'd be surprised. But
yeah.
So if it was ready for the 6th of April, or does it need to be later than that?
Yeah, so in the proposal, it should have everything as far as what we're asking for, or what they're asking for right now, and what they will offer in return. In regards to that, we did chat a little bit as far as what the timeline would look like. And with all of the onboarding and the software getting over, or the data getting over into their software, it sounds like after the data conversion and training, which they'll have people that are able to help train not only us, but the department heads. After all of that, we should be ready to start the budget in July, no later than July.
Right, good. Got a question now.
Quick question on this $10,000 discount for this pilot program. How long is that? A 1-year discount? Is that 10,000 moving forward, or does it go up to the 20,000 at that time, or whatever?
That's a good question, Commissioner. Basically, if you guys were to come in at the 10,000 rate, that would be in the contract, and you guys would be locked into 10,000 annually. If you signed on for a 3-year term, you'd be locked into 10,000 for 3 years, and then year 4, it would increase by 3%. If you just did 1 year at a time, the price would increase 3% year to year.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Question for Ryan, then a comment, if I may. So Ryan, do you believe it would be acceptable for us to reach out to our neighboring counties and have a discussion with them about their use of ClearGov?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then my comment would be that I wouldn't be comfortable in making a decision on this today, or at least right now. I think we need to do a little more research, have some conversations, flesh it out a little bit. If the price is going to jump up tomorrow, why, I guess we take that into account as well. I don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction today based on an opportunity to take advantage of a sale price.
And like I mentioned, I will get back to you, but we haven't given any direction on the pilot program increasing. I do not believe they would jack up the prices tomorrow like they are the rest of the kind of the people in the normal pricing tiers. So I think it's safe to assume that at least for the next month, it would still be 10,000 annually. But I'll get that in writing for you guys, so you could have confidence in that for sure. The only other thing would be to consider is the implementation timeline. I do think if we had a decision in the month of April, we could have you guys up and running by July. I think anytime after that, it's going to be cutting it too close.
Yeah, I skimmed over that 42-page PDF. A lot of it didn't make any sense, but I think to go back now and review it again after your presentation will make a lot of things a lot more clear for me. From what I've seen, I like the general concept and the general idea.
I appreciate that. And if there's any questions you guys have as you're reviewing that, you're welcome to email the email that's on that, or send it to Braden and he'll send it to me. And then, like I mentioned, I'll have some information around that pricing to you later today.
I think that would be prudent. I think it'd be good if we were able to talk to a couple of these surrounding counties that are using your system and get a little more background information.
Your job, absolutely.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah. You bet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Want to defer this to another agenda?
And pick a day, do you want to do it? Or you want to come back to us with putting on an agenda later?
If we think we'll have some time to discuss, we can, probably next week is too soon.
Mid-month.
So mid-month would kind of be the soonest.
And maybe we can meet with you between now and then too. And
Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah, I don't have a problem with mid-month meeting.
Okay. So if we could, Dorothy, I'll I've seen you writing it down over there,
Got
but
it.
I thought I'd make sure. All right, thank you
I
very much.
assume that would go in as a consideration item and that we would expect to vote up or down on that.
I would say so.
I think for the timing, sounds like we need to.
Next item on our agenda is the consideration of the Dominion voting systems.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Is that speaker still working in the hall?
No.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is the consideration of the Dominion voting systems. And Jack had asked to be put on our agenda, and I will give you the floor, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Day and fellow commissioners, and thank the concerned citizens that have showed up for this meeting today.
Really speak loud, Jack.
I have researched an issue where the county commissioners have the option of canceling the contract with Dominion voting machines. And I refer you to Colorado Revised Statute 1-1-111, Powers and Duties of Governing Boards.
Sit right there.
Item 1, in addition to other duties prescribed by law, the governing board, in this case, county commissioners of a political subdivision, in this case, Custer County, entitled to call elections shall have the following duties: to supervise the conduct of regular and special elections which it is authorized or required to call. The reason I bring this up is so many of the public, including myself, have been under the impression that the supervision and conduct of regular and special elections was the duty of the county clerk and recorder. This statute goes on to say, Part B, where appropriate, the governing board is to consult and coordinate with the county clerk and recorder of the county in which the political subdivision is located and with the Secretary of State in regard to conducting elections and rendering decisions and interpretations under this code. Hence, the duty is actually on the county commissioners to conduct the election. So when we get on into this, part of that duty should be, and it should be a responsibility of the county commissioners to make sure that anything to do with that election can be trusted and can make the voters feel confident that their vote counted appropriately. At this time, our county is using Dominion voting machines, and it is my belief, along with several reports from forensic audits of the Dominion voting machines, that they cannot be trusted, and I have some examples. In early December of 2020, Allied Security Operations in Dallas inspected the election equipment in Antrim County, Michigan. Originally, the report wasn't going to be made public without receiving approval from the judge. Elsenheimer, the judge, came back and said a report can be released as long as the software's coding are redacted in the ASOG stated Dominion software has a 68% chance of errors. The allowable election error rate estimated by Federal Election Commission guidelines is of 1 in 250,000 ballots, or 0.0008%. They observed an error rate of 68.05%. This demonstrated a significant and fatal error in security and election integrity. The report states the results in Atrium County 2020 election are not certifiable, and this is a result of machine and/or software error, not human error. Closer to home in the state of Colorado, Mesa County, the county clerk, Tina Peters, took some forensic images of the voting machines in Mesa County. She has been, it's got her in a terrible situation, but the result of what she did, there's been an official forensic report made. There's actually been 3 of them on those machines. And here is information dated March 23rd of 2022. So this was just last week. The 3rd official forensic Mesa report analyzing Mesa County electronic voting systems was made public this week. The report, prepared by cyber experts with multiple advanced degrees and decades of combined high-level experience in the in the field of cybersecurity, computer science, and database expertise, exposed undeniable evidence of vote manipulation among other serious election crimes. In a show of blatant incompetence, or worse, the executive director of the Colorado County Clerks Association, Matt Crane, admitted to election crimes by Colorado's Secretary of State. Crane outed the fact that Colorado Secretary of State Griswold approved untested, uncertified software which was illegally installed on electronic equipment in Colorado. This is a confirmation of the findings in the Mesa 3 forensic report. Many people talk about the Dominion voting machines, and they worry about the fact that the Dominion voting machines get plugged into the internet to get the information sent to the state. A lot of people think that the biggest problem with the Dominion voting machines is the internet. And I'm here to say that the problem is not with the internet. The problem was described in that statement that the software installed in the machine cannot be trusted, whether it's plugged into the internet or not. This report goes on to say that Crane publicly admitted to multiple election crimes. Illegal, unauthorized software was permitted, encouraged, and installed into electronic voting machine equipment by Colorado election officials, including the Secretary of State. The illegal software included LibreOffice and Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. This is something that the residents of this county need to be confident that their vote is counted and counted correctly. I believe it is the responsibility of the county commissioners not only to oversee a fair election, but not spend $20,800 in change in a yearly contract with Dominion voting machines to use a machine that is fraught with errors and cannot be trusted. It is a waste of the taxpayers' dollars, and it is not good use of our taxpayer dollars, which the county commissioners have the responsibility to guard our our taxpayer dollars and spend them wisely. I know that this is going to create a situation where we're probably, in my opinion, the best option until some kind of mechanical device that we can trust is available to us is a hand count of our vote.
Yes.
The hand. A hand count of our vote will require a number of people. I believe that, and I would ask our county clerk to clarify this more and let me know more, but I believe the people that have signed up as election judges could be trained to do a hand count of our election. At this time, as the chairman of the Republican Central Committee, I have submitted approximately 20 names of election judges to Clerk Camper. I have another list of 22 people that are willing to be election judges. The parties, the major parties of the county have until the 60th day prior to the election to submit names of election judges. Our primary election is June 28th, so that would give us to approximately April 28th to submit names of election judges. So I believe that the Republican Party can submit at least 40. I see that Mr. Gilbert is in the room. I understand he's the chairman of the Democrat Party in Custer County. I assume that he has also submitted election judges. If he would like to have more, he has until the 28th or approximately the 28th, 60 days, may be the 25th, to submit names of election judges to our county clerk. And that would give the county clerk 60 days to do the training for the people. The election judges from the Republican Party, to my knowledge so far, have offered to do it on a voluntary basis, which would be no expense to the county. There would be an expense, I assume, in the time it would take to train them, but I cannot imagine that that expense would be anywhere near the almost $21,000 that we are paying Dominion. I am very confident that in 1890, Custer County voted with a hand count, and the census for 1890 put 10,000 people in Custer County. Today's population is closer to 4,500. I do believe that we can do a hand count in a reasonable time and with participation from both of the major parties. Everybody should be able to be confident that our vote is fair and trustworthy.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. And I hope you consider this motion today so that we can proceed to getting ready for our primary election coming up on June 28th. Thank you.
Okay, to facilitate discussion, I move we change the voting to a hand count for this election, given the timeline you put forward.
Yes.
This is for, so we can have a discussion.
Yes.
I would like to hear from Kelly before I would second that. If I may.
So, by law, in a federal election, which the primary is not a federal election, we have to use a voting system. We cannot do it by a hand count.
Show us that law.
The voting machines are not connected to the internet. No, they are not.
Okay,
I'm speaking.
Kelly has the floor.
They are not connected to the internet. They never are connected to the internet. The, everybody in here votes a paper ballot. And that paper ballot, if we did a hand count of those paper ballots right now, it would match what is going through that system. I feel very confident in that. When we go through all those ballots, you guys are in teams of two, a Republican and a Democrat. There are probably, depending on the election, 6 to 10 people in that room. If there was anything going on there, I would hope that somebody, I mean, all of those people would have to be in on it. We do an audit. We do 2 testings prior to the election to make sure that those machines are counting right. We do an audit after the election to make sure they're counting right. We cannot certify that election until it comes back that everything has been counted right. There are only 2 certified systems in the state of Colorado, Dominion and Clear Ballot. Dominion does cost us, right now, our lease is $20,000 a year. We're in an 8-year lease. If we go to Clear Ballot, we cannot lease, it's a purchase. It would cost $100 to $150,000, and then $25,000 a year for our license and them to help us if we need any help. I know that in the news or in the what's going around in the public, the trusted build comes up a lot. When we have updates to the software, there has to be 3, by law, there has to be 3 people in the room or 3 entities in the room. A representative from my office, a representative from Dominion, and a representative from Secretary of State. When they do those updates to the software, after they do that, then we do what's called a trusted build. And all that's doing is certifying that that software that was put on that machine is the certified software to use for elections. I can't think of anything I'm missing. I participated in a hand count and probably Debbie was still in office, so it was probably 2008 or 9 maybe. A hand count is very hard. It's very hard. There's a lot of room for error in a hand count. To hand count, we've got about 4,200 voters right now, active voters. That would take, on a normal election, it would probably take us 2 weeks to do a hand count.
Is that a big deal? 2 weeks compared to, can you state your life on it? Would be Dominion
machines can be remotely programmed. You know for a fact that it can't be true. My background is.
Can you
national
address the
security.
commissioners,
My
please?
background is programming.
Actually, we ought to get it.
Stand up and-
Discussion needs a second. Here we go. We're gonna get out of control.
Yeah, I think,
Point of order, Chairman. It seems like we're having discussion. Can we have a second so we can go on with discussion?
Right.
Kelly, are you still
I
have
think
information?
that's, yeah, I think that's.
For the sake of discussion, I will second this motion. Now we'll open it up for discussion among the board members first.
I am, from my point of view, and I'm a technical guy. I understand computers very well. Had a career of 30 years involved with all kinds of technical issues. And there's nothing that isn't breakable. That's a fact, and it is an issue. And there's a proof that this has had problems. I think it starts at the county. If the counties do it, if one county does it, all the counties need to do it. And then you got to start somewhere. And I know, and I trust Kelly. And I know the count they did here, and I think a lot of people in this room are election judges. Nobody's questioning that integrity, and you all saw the count. And I know after the fact, you print it, you go against what the vote count was, and you certify that. What I don't see happening is what Jack pointed out, that has to be certified back. And how do we know what happened once it's in? I don't care whether it's connected to the internet or not. That count goes into an electronic system that Dominion has for tallying up the whole state. And so we don't know, and they can always come back with exactly read back to us what we put in. We don't know what happened to it afterwards. If all the states, counties had done the same thing and up there, it'd be awful hard for at a higher level to jack with the vote as much. If they can do it in Afghanistan and dip your finger in an ink well and get through it, why can't we do hand count? And I would support a hand count.
Good.
Mr. Flower, you have anything?
Well, I think the only opinion that really matters here is our chief election officer. If you feel like we have problems with these machines, then we need to address that.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Yeah.
then I don't see the need. I would ask you point blank. It's not the machines, it's the entire system really that we're talking about. Do you have concerns about using this Dominion voting system for our county?
I do not have concerns. And Bill, the state is not on Dominion. They do not have a Dominion system. Each county counts their own ballots, and then we send those totals to the state. We can look at those totals. I check those totals against what the state puts out there and make sure that my totals match what they have to the penny. It matters to me that every person in this room, the ballot that they cast, that vote, how they voted it counts. That's what you voted me to do. I am going to make sure that your vote counts. And I have faith in the machine.
Yeah, I think, obviously there's some pending legislation in the Senate, coming out of the Senate and the House about elections in Colorado. I certainly think as citizens, we need to pay attention to those. I suspect they're both going to pass out of the legislature, Senate Bill 152 and House Bill 1086. But I think as a state, we have some other issues too. Currently in our county, what do you require as evidence of proof for a person to vote in this county?
They have to have a driver's license. They have to be a citizen to be a citizen. I mean, that's a driver's license. Yes.
And I brought this up at the recent CCCA Zoom meeting that Mr. Day and you were on it as well. I think people should live in this county to vote in this county. That's my feeling. The state doesn't agree with that, obviously. But I think there's other things we should be concerned about with our elections in the state of Colorado.
Anybody spoke?
He got it.
got it.
Okay.
May I address?
In a minute, you may. I have a couple of comments and I will let you address. In a lot of our conversations, and I have heard from multiple people, there are concerns with the Dominion machines. And I think a lot of us share those concerns. At the same time, I have always heard that there is trust in Kelly and her people here in the county that they have not had any issues up to this point with our elections. I've heard those in the same sentence, that there are issues, but at the same time, we feel that our elections have been counted properly here in Custer County. I have a concern with the timing of this because we are right on top of our elections right now. And in doing something like this, if this had taken place 6 months ago, it would have been a lot easier. It would have been a lot better to deal with the problem at that time and not when we're right in the middle of an election cycle. A couple of the concerns that I have. And I would like to state that at this time, at this given moment, I am confident that Kelly and Peggy and the staff do a very competent job of these elections. That being said, there's nothing to say that we cannot look at something else moving forward. But I have a big concern, especially if we are required to use some sort of system. We have one other system that's available in the state of Colorado. And at this point, would we be able to call them and say, hey, we need this many machines? Maybe, maybe not. And as per Kelly's statement earlier, and I believe that she was referring to the Help America Vote Act. Is that what you were referring to?
Yes.
The statute there that says that we are required to use voting equipment and a hand count would not be admissible
In federal election.
in a federal election. So that is a couple of statements that I have at this time.
If I may.
Yes.
Thank you. Kelly, I also wanted to ask you about Senate Bill 153, that internal election. You're a member of the Colorado County Clerks Association. I understand that association is supporting that bill. Do you think your association as a whole, let's throw Mesa out of the mix for a minute. Do you think that your association believes that these Dominion machines are functional in Colorado.
Of course, you have to throw Mesa out of the mix because.
Okay, Tom has the floor.
They have the proof, yeah.
Tom has the floor. And asking a question to Kelly.
Yes, so our association has met a lot on this, and yes, all of the counties feel the same way.
You're asleep, Fowler. You're asleep.
I'll say something more, Kelly.
You gotta open it up.
We all know
Floor
that.
first. Hold on, point of order, just keep it, we'll keep it
Let
quiet.
me,
Let's finish.
Jack had a question waiting for some
Uh,
comments.
Everybody's gonna get a chance. He's let him run.
My comment is that when I asked to be on this agenda and when I sat down in this chair and to this point, I have never said anything to question Ms. Camper's work as a county clerk. I have never suggested that anything done in Custer County was fraudulent or below the water and underhanded. My objection here is the use of the Dominion voting machines. It has nothing to do with our county government. I would like to address the Colorado County Clerks Association. Matt Crane, the person who admitted that Jenna Griswold had approved untested, uncertified software, which was illegally installed in the electric voting equipment in Colorado. Mr. Crane, the executive director of the Colorado County Clerks Association, is not a government official, yet he operates in the gray area of wielding extreme influence over elected officials while remaining outside of public oversight and accountability. In dealing with county clerks and other election officials, including Secretary of State Jenna Griswold and members of her office, Crane has countless personal conflicts of interest. These conflicts range from his wife being a decades-long employee of Dominion voting machines and its predecessor, to financial interests, given he's the director of the global mobile text-to-vote company, to being employed at the Lafayette Group, a DC-based government contractor that officially states they work in security, including critical infrastructure, yet the bulk of their employees are not technical, political science, or policy specialists. My point is, the Colorado County Clerks Association is promoting that the Dominion voting machines are just fine. They have the executive director of that association has serious conflicts of interest here. And I don't think that we should be listening to someone who has conflicts of interest where their wife is a major part of the machines that we are objecting to. And in the interest of expediting this conversation, I would like to say that from now on, I believe I've said what I need to say. Unless asked a question, I would like to defer to other people, and I would hope that other people would have the courtesy to limit their comments to a short period of time and not have to make repeated comments every time somebody makes a comment that doesn't agree with them. I think we need to expedite this process so that we can make a decision. I would also like to say that we are not the first county here. It's already started in Rio Blanco County. The commissioners voted up there to cancel their contract with Dominion. And we have to somehow get our elections to where we can trust them. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comment. And I will open up the floor, and As to Jack's comments, I would ask that you keep your comments brief. It will not be a back and forth. You are here to be heard and you will be heard, but it will not be a back and forth discussion or anything of that nature. So, Mr. Gilbert.
Yes, hi, I'm James Gilbert, and Jack was right, I'm the chair of the Democratic Party. I fully agree with Jack that our elections need to be trusted. Where I disagree is that the presentation here does nothing to build trust in our elections. So I'd like to try to do that a little bit. I don't know how many people here know exactly how the county election system works. So I'll go through that really quickly. Either by mail-in or drop-off paper ballot that you receive in the mail, you vote your vote. Or you come in and do it on paper there with your pen in your hand, or with a Dominion piece of equipment, which is a tablet, which is essentially an electronic pen. You put your finger on the dot, you print out a piece of paper, and as Kelly said, that's your paper ballot. All those paper ballots then go to one place, and that is the scanner. The scanner then records that ballot as I think it's a JPEG, as well as all the marks indicated and counts them all up. But it's a scanner. So it does one thing. It says, that's a black mark, that's a black mark, that's a black mark. It doesn't do anything else. Well, I don't know. Does it add them up? The scanner doesn't. The thing does. Okay. The scanner also is set to reject ballots that it has confusion about. Either it's marked in the same election 2 times, it has spurious marks, or for some reason it's uncountable. Like I spilled my coffee cup on my paper ballot and you had a whole big blotch that the scanner said you can't vote the entire piece of paper. So those then get sent to another system monitored by another set of judges called adjudication. And they look at the actual ballot and the recorded ballot, where the scanner tells them what the question is. If the question is a mark, it can't differentiate, then those judges look at the paper ballot and say, this person meant to vote this. It's called voter intent, and we are trained on how to interpret that. So based upon all of that, our counts are added up, and we spend a lot of extra time counting, after the ballots are counting, reconciling the totals so that we have exactly the same number of ballots we said we did. We then put all our totals in for all the paper that we have that's controlled. And at the end of the day, the totals are all calculated up. And then we start the whole process over again from those numbers. The, let's see, where was I trying to go with one last thing? After the adjudication, then after the numbers are all sent in on the day of, we then come back for an audit. And that audit is a list of ballots, which we go back to all the paper ballots and pull out all those identified ballots, which are then all re-entered, re-voted essentially. An election judge reads off this ballot, another one votes it. Then we go back to that audit system where all those ballots are identified. We know how all of them were voted originally, and they're double checked. And we have to match 100%. And the whole state has to match within some very low percent, 1 or 2% error. So we know at the end, there's been no errors made in this county. So you should all appreciate that our system is counting your vote and exactly how you voted. Nothing is happening here. So you should have absolute confidence and trust in the system that we use. After it goes there, as Kelly said, it doesn't go to Dominion to total everything up. It probably goes to somebody doing arithmetic on an abacus or something. I don't know. But at any rate, I'll make one last comment that I'd hate to see the county start taking into account items in the ionosphere that are of dubious veracity, including the comments from this Matt Crane guy, who Jack in his last comment totally invalidated his testimony accusing Jenna Griswold because he says he's got 88 conflicts of interest and he's totally untrustworthy. So why do you believe him about anything? And I'll just stop there.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and identify yourself, please.
I mean, my background is program.
What's your name?
Kenneth Kahn.
Thank you.
I'm Chris's brother and her brother. My background is working for the National Defense. And of some things I cannot say because I've had a special access security clearance, which is higher than top secret. And the things I know, I can't tell you where I hear this. But we all know, first of all, that the Dominion machines were manufactured by Soros companies. And I don't know if you all know who Soros is, but he's not friendly to the United States. And this has to start somewhere where we trust ourselves. The counting by humans is a lot more accurate without going back and forth from, yeah, you know, are you?
Address the commission, please.
Okay, and I know these machines can be remotely programmed. They don't have to be hooked into the internet. They could just have one little piece of integrated circuit on there to reflect, to receive the information, to change it. And are we willing to trust this? No, I don't think so. I mean, our human counting ability is much more accurate than something that can be changed at any point. You know, it could be even at the beginning and sworn to be accurate, but it can be changed. It can be changed again and again. So why do we accept some foreign power building voting machines in our country? It's just not, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And I want to keep this short. I know we all need to keep it short. So that's my comments. Please understand this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Wilcox, I'll be as succinct as we can. No one would ever even think, I can't imagine anybody in here would ever think John Boone and integrity of Kelly. Kelly is amazing, and I think we all agree on that.
Yes.
100%. The timing of why this couldn't have been brought up earlier is there's a lot of information just finally coming in 2 years down the road from the last debacle. We would have loved to have done this earlier, but now we have the proof that things are screwed up. So now we need to do something before this next one becomes another debacle. Tom, your initial statement is blatantly wrong. Well, Kelly is the subject matter expert and her voice is extremely important. The voices of the constituents in this county are the voices you need to listen to as well.
Absolutely.
And we don't need to follow the overlords in Denver or anybody else. We need to stand up for ourselves and make sure our election is right.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm Gordon Greer. What I'm hearing with these machines is we have to physically make sure they're counting right. Once, twice, 3 times, it sounds like at least. I don't know why we're spending the extra money if we have to physically count them anyway.
I think there's.
State your name, guys.
Harold Frank. I don't think there's anybody in this room or anybody that signed for election judges or so that question Kelly and Peggy's integrity. Absolutely not. Zero. But it has been proven, and why would we ignore the evidence about the election fraud that happened and the questions, all the questions about Dominion voting machines? And I agree with Don. Mr. Flower, you just showed again that you completely ignore every person that came here and say that this is only Kelly's decision. Do you think the voters don't count here at all?
No, he doesn't. He never has.
I know.
I don't have the floor.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
Well, I'll just say this. I was an election judge.
Your name?
Lisa Frank, sorry. I was an election judge and this is the first time I've been election judge before, and I love the way we do things here. And I worked with Mr. Gilbert side by side adjudicating. And yeah, Tom, if it weren't fair, we would have given a lot of votes to Lucas that went to you because they were just flip-flop. People put him in the wrong place. And I think Lucas Epp would have won, but we have trustworthy people here. That people that wrote on the ballots maybe weren't so intelligent and put the wrong name in the wrong place. But we had to say this vote doesn't count because they wrote it in the wrong place, so write in. However, that's Custer County, and that's me, and that's Mr. Gilbert. And I do trust everybody that works in this courthouse and works on the election official, but I don't trust Boulder. I don't trust Denver. I don't trust a lot of the larger areas, and I don't trust that the Republicans that are calling themselves Republicans are really Republicans. So we could have two actual Democrats adjudicating a vote. Just one has an R behind his name because you can jump around in this state. You can be an independent until the day you decide to declare yourself. So that's an issue for me. Also, I don't know if this is just because the first time I did adjudication, but I never saw so many ballots kicked out, and they were all Trump and Cory Gardner. Now, I would think that if this state is so blue, that we would not have Lauren Boebert in office. Number one, I never saw Lauren Boebert kicked out. I did see Trump and Cory Gardner. Both did not make it, right? So those all had to be adjudicated. And that means a human being looked at that scanned image, and if they had integrity, they went to the actual ballot and they looked at it. The reason they were kicked out, we were told, is because of a fold line. There were no marks. They were perfectly pure ballots. But I saw more Trump and Cory Gardner votes kicked out to be adjudicated. Now, yes.
Remember, they were adjudicated for the.
Okay, she has.
I agree.
Don't debate each other.
Yeah, I sat right next to Mr. Gilbert. Yes, we adjudicate. No, you're not, really. I'm saying Custer County, yes, I trust the adjudicators that they did the right thing, but I don't trust Denver. I don't trust some of the major cities that they were adjudicated correctly. If the same thing was happening in their counties for a fold line, I was told that the printing was jostled a little, and therefore it kicked it out for adjudication. I'm just saying right there is an ability for a human being to cheat right there. I never saw so many adjudicated votes. Even for you, Tom.
You have a statement here in the back.
My name is Judy Greer, and I would just like to bring a point that, sir, you said in addressing this, that our timeline, basically the mandate of getting this done, whatever needs to be done, that it was, I don't remember your exact words, it's in the minutes, but you implied that it wasn't possible, that there was doubt there. But yet I sit here, this morning, and almost everything that's on the agenda, there's a mandate that seemed impossible. but those words didn't come from your mouth or anyone else. But this one, you did. And I disagree because I feel like the people are upset enough, the voters, we would go in there and we'll raise our hands and we'll say we're here. We'll do whatever it needs to be. Is that not true?
It's true.
Yes. Yes.
Cox, and I'm a state commissioner. I respectfully disagree with you that this is the time, this is the place. We have to do this now. We have to know our votes count. And these Dominion machines have been proven from court cases from Arizona, Pennsylvania, I believe Georgia now. These machines cannot be trusted. We want hand counts, and we are willing to do it. We will do the work.
You will.
Well, I was just gonna comment about Lisa's comment about polls and things. At least in Custer County, and I'm sure everywhere else, because you have a Democrat and a Republican side by side everywhere, and you have the same arguments about Democrats being Republicans and Republicans being Democrats, and who knows what an uncommitted is. But those are all corrected. Adjudication means looking at what the problem is. If it's a crease, then you look at the voter intent. And when we see Cory Gardner or Donald Trump as the intent, the crease does not matter. We fix the vote. We fix it. And she's a witness for me fixing one, and I'm a witness for her fixing it. So that's the way it works. I mean, that's the whole point.
I have to respond to that. So I have to respond.
It's not going to be a back and forth.
Well, I just want to say clarification.
It is
Yes,
not
he
gonna
clarified
be-
me. He
it's-
clarified mine. We can change a vote at adjudication. At that moment, I have the power to say, I think this should be for Donald Trump, even if it was printed. If it was kicked out, I have the power. I do too.
No, you
I
don't.
have
I
the
say
I have-
okay.
I have the power.
Okay, both of you, please.
I have the power to
No,
change that
that's
vote.
enough. That's enough.
Ah,
It's not going to be this.
Sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would appreciate it if everyone would show a little decorum. That would include you, sir, as well. I am watching you as people are speaking. So please keep it professional. I would ask that from everyone.
Peggy Collins, I'd like to respond to Mr. Gilbert. No one in this whole county thinks that anybody in this county would cheat. But the problem is we don't have that same faith in other counties. And we need to be the start of doing it differently.
Yes. Thank you. Dallas.
Thank you, Dallas Anderson. Kelly is correct in saying that this machine here is not connected to the internet. That's not the problem. The problem is the programming in the machine. I've watched several online briefings from the Department of Defense, Team 1 and Team 2 last February or so. They analyzed something like 50 machines nationwide. And they proved without a doubt that those machines were anywhere from 30 to 60% error. Every one of them.
Yes.
Our machine, who knows? The program can't be tested and it can't be proved. So what I'd like to see is myself be an election judge. I've signed up for the last 4 elections and haven't been called yet. But I'd like to see as many citizens as possible involved in the election system. Vote counters, election judges, people that can see how things work without mechanical interference. So I'm for getting rid of the machine. Thank you.
Anyone else out in the hall that would like to speak?
Anybody else in the hall want to talk?
Anybody else want to
He's
speak?
coming.
I have a
I'd like
lady
to say
behind-
something.
I have a lady behind you here first.
Oh,
Go right ahead.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
Ladies first?
He saw you
That's
first.
so
Yay,
nice.
Jean. Yay, Jean.
Thank you. I'm Jean Canterbury. And I would just like to say to everybody that really, I don't think this should be any kind of a partisan deal. I've read a lot of online reports, as I'm sure we all have. We've kind of become experts in this recently. And a lot of the information that we have is before the 2020 election. I recall Hillary saying some stuff about voter problems with Dominion machines when she didn't get elected. And we've seen hackers that can hack in. They make it a big deal on social media when they can get into the Dominion machines. We don't want that. It doesn't matter how great we are. It's how great the machine is. And we all just don't have any respect for that system at all. So we all feel that we need to take our elections back, and possibly it won't be the guy we want that wins, but I think we'll all be satisfied that it was the vote that the majority of the people want.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Parker. I spent a significant amount of my working life in the digital world. And one rule or one truism is if it's digital, it can be hacked. It can be manipulated. It's that simple. It's a truism. And in our democracy, our elections are too important to expose them to that kind of vulnerability. The one thing citizens have to have in a democracy is complete trust in elections. And we don't have it. It's that simple. What government has succeeded in doing over the past several decades, under the guise of trying to make it easier to vote so that more people will get off their rear ends and go vote, all they've succeeded in doing is opening many doors for possible fraud. That's all they've done. And at the end of the day, they haven't really increased election turnout.
That's right.
And until this last election, when the turnout went sky high, go figure on that one. But in any case, what we've got to do is return elections to something very simple and very verifiable. I never minded standing in line, long lines to vote. Being a citizen is not easy, and it shouldn't be easy. And that's the one big responsibility that we have, is to vote. And I would urge our commissioners to show leadership on this issue. I don't question anything that comes out of Custer County, as many of you have already said. I agree with you completely. But let's show leadership and start turning this thing around and heading it in a direction where we can start to have faith in our elections again.
Amen.
Amen.
Anyone else in the hallway?
Anybody else out there?
Anybody in the hallway?
Don't think so.
Bob Hollingsworth here. There are many of us here in this room and out in the hallway and in our county that have put our life at risk to protect the rights, liberties, and freedoms that we enjoy in America. We have even gone so far to go to foreign countries to help them get the same rights. That's how important it is. Kelly, I don't think anybody is concerned with you and your honesty, but the Dominion system is proven to be able to manipulate the votes. That's the key thing here. And I'm not an expert in IT, as some of you folks are, But we need as citizens to have integrity, and the only way you can do that is trust us as citizens to count the votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Tim Connigan, I just wanted to apologize to Kelly if you thought I didn't trust you. We do trust you.
Yes, you do.
It's the voting machines. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You have anything you would like to add? Did you have a?
I have a question. Can I clarify with Kelly? Is that okay? About this issue? So I want to know, like, if we do a.
State name. Go ahead and identify yourself.
Stacy Shock. If we do a hand counted ballot, will it be certified by the state as official? Because I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know. And I have to follow very strict timelines, so if we do a hand count, I'm not sure how that would work. I'll have to,
got lots of volunteers.
I'll have to see.
So maybe before any decisions are made, she should find out those answers.
One thing that I could offer is let us do the count, run the election like we normally run. And then we do a hand count afterwards so that I can show to you that our machines are counting correctly.
That's fair.
Jack, one last time here.
Jack Canterbury. It is my understanding, and I may be wrong, but it is my understanding that Custer County is who certifies Custer County's votes. That's my understanding. I may be wrong, but it isn't the state that certifies our vote. It is Custer County. The state certifies the state vote. But we certify what comes out of our county. Just like the states certify to the federal government what comes out of their state. That's my understanding. The second thing is this isn't just about Custer County. This is about Dominion. We have to start getting rid of Dominion. If we decide we're going to use Dominion and we're going to audit that with a hand count also to make sure Dominion work right here, that doesn't do the rest of the state any good. We need to be, as Mr. Parker said, we need to take the lead. We need to get this done. Just because we're a small county in the state doesn't mean we can't roar like a lion and get something done. Yeah. We need to take the lead and tell our governor to go pound sand when he was doing the mandates for COVID. Let's take the lead. We're already behind because Rio Blanco's got the lead, but we can be in there and we can make this happen. And we can get rid of Dominion if we show leadership. Thank you.
I guess I would have one more question for you, Kelly, personally here. And that would involve the timing situation. I think I understand that a hand count would probably not pass regulation. Is that correct or not correct? Or do we have an answer for that?
I probably would need to look into that.
Okay.
I don't want to say one way or the other.
And be wrong. I fully understand that. It's a important question. And if it is not acceptable to do a hand count, that leaves us one other option, which would be the clear ballot machine. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that is my comment on the timing situation.
Could I ask a question?
I have the floor right now. Thank you. And how that would work. And I will give my thoughts here for a second. And I am giving the answer to that first question. I would be inclined to follow Kelly's suggestion and proceed at this time with Dominion, but with moving forward and looking into the other system. The other system, per this other gentleman's statement, is also a digital system. The way everything has moved in our society is to that. And everything is susceptible. But what I am leaning towards at this time would be to do that, to run this cycle as we are and move forward with going somewhere different, something that we can trust. We are right on top of this election cycle, and that to me is an issue as well. I do fully understand. I have issues as well with this Dominion system. I don't know that the other one would be any better. That would be wait to be seen. So that is my comment on this. At this particular time, that is where I am sitting. I don't know if any of you gentlemen would like to make any kind of a statement or not.
I do after Tom.
Did you have anything?
Okay, I meant several things. Peggy Collins and other people hit the nail on the head. It's not about Dominion in this county. It's about the state, and it's about Dominion, period. I told you a while ago, I had a very big technical background. I have had a special program access since 1984, and I still do. I'm active today. I'm involved in high-tech Defense Department contracts today on the peripheral. And I have seen through my career simple things. Did you know, and it's not classified any longer, you could look across a building to a building and look at the light bulbs in the light room, and they can tell what the people are saying because the filaments were vibrating at a certain rate, and they can pick it up. Technology has improved a bunch. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all that. Guess what? The Department of Defense has outlawed the use of any parts made in China, and 3 tiers down below that, because you cannot trust the fact that somebody brought it up. One of you guys, that maybe you did, because you're the SAPSAR kind of guy too. That you cannot trust the circuit boards that are built that they can put things in. Your cell phone right now, they won't allow a cell phone in a SCIF, a compartmented facility, because it can be listened to. It can turn on your phone. You don't even know it. That's happening today in your cell phone. You don't know it. So it's about the technology, and it's about getting rid of Dominion, because where was it made? How many tiers down to subcontractors? They outlawed the use of subcontractors to be subcontracted to the prime, even if they were building their parts in the United States, and they stopped it. So the state's a separate issue. The state government needs to take a hold and figure out what's going on technically too. So that's why the trust is in our system. Peggy and Kelly do it right. There's no point arguing about whether or not our counts are accurate. However, what happens later does matter. And so take the lead was a lead of thing I heard too. If the state doesn't take the notice of what the counties do, then we've turned into a banana republic, right? Because the counties are where the basic form of government is. And if enough of it goes together, we work for you guys. The county does, the commissioner does. Our services are for you. And so we want to make sure that we are heard not only at this local level, but at the national level when the state of Colorado turns in a certified vote. If we could do elections in the old days and turn them around in one day with a hand count and stand in line and people stood there for hours to vote if it mattered. So that's why I am 100% behind. And of the question about whether it's a legal thing, Kevin, your question. She was referring to that Disabilities Act that had to be a federal way of, or an electronic way of voting for people that can't. I don't know. I don't understand it enough. But I do know that we have time, if we're going to mess around and wait, we have time to go ahead and start this process and figure out how to get the Disabilities Act complied with, by whatever that means. Electronically, we still have the Dominion machine here, or an electronic machine how does it work? I don't know. Have you dealt with that before yet? I know maybe other counties. And the other issue is the other counties are doing it. So somehow it's okay to take a paper ballot in a couple of counties now if they're done it already. So I'm not changing my position.
Kelly, do you know what Rio Blanco County is actually doing? Have you heard?
All I know, or that I have heard, their commissioners have voted not to get rid of the system, but to amend the clerk's budget, getting rid of that, taking that money away that she uses to pay for that system, so that she would not have the money to pay for that system. They have not voted on that yet. I know that because of that, the Department of Justice is looking at that, since the HAVA is a federal law. That's all I know.
Okay. You have, what kind of timeline would you need to find out the answer to question as far as whether or not a hand count would be acceptable?
I can call Secretary of State's office when we finish with the meeting.
That's some information that I think I would really like to have before I voted on this. It doesn't do us any good to vote something out if we have no way to replace it.
Why do you want to replace it?
We're voting to replace with a paper ballot right now. That's what we're talking about. So there is what we are doing. What I think he's referring to is how do we, well, you restated, Kevin.
I believe your motion was to, what was your motion?
To, I forget how it was stated. You maybe want to read it back, but it was to do away with the Dominion voting machine process in this county and go to a paper ballot for this election until we find a different
Did you say paper ballot
To
or
a
hand?
Hand count is what I said, a hand count. I'm sorry.
Paper ballot.
Right, right. It's a hand count.
I would, without not knowing whether or not we are able to do that, I would move to defer this until after we had that information. I would move to put this on April 5th agenda for consideration at that time.
Before I would second that, it's not a bad idea. The point is, we already have the Dominion machine. If we vote to go to a hand count, paper ballot, whatever you want to call it, we haven't lost anything. If we find out something later, we still got the machine. We haven't disabled anything yet. So we got plenty of time, in my view, to work that. But if we want to wait till the 5th, it's a thought.
I think I would like to have my information in hand before I voted.
I'll second.
Okay. So now we have discussion on that. Just a second. Any discussion here at the table on that?
You heard what I thought, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think it gives Kelly time to do a little research.
What? Can't hear.
Wait until the 5th and reconsider.
That's what Tom said.
We still have the motion on the floor. So we haven't done anything yet.
Comment on this latest motion.
Jack Canterbury, I would like to make a comment. I think it's great that Kelly wants to talk to the Secretary of State about what the options are. My personal opinion is I'm not sure that I completely trust her. So are you willing to take input from other people with options of different machines or different ways of counting to qualify for the federal standards of the election? Or are we going to rely simply on Jenna Griswold for that answer? If we find that we can meet the federal guidelines with an old machine where you pull the lever, it's a mechanized machine. Are we willing to look at other options rather than just what the Secretary of State says?
Harold Frank, I would hope you would consider that motion, because you expressed doubts about the Dominion voting machine. And why in God's name would we want to take a chance? And I agree with what Jack Canterbury said. The Secretary of State is about the last person we can trust, and we all know that. So why would we ask her for her opinion? And I want to reiterate what General Hollingsworth said. Thousands of people have died for that right.
Yes.
And why would we spit them in the face? We need to take the chance and the opportunity right now and not delay it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Me,
Yes.
Karen Kahn, brother of his sister. I worry, because I hear about Dominion all the time, I worry about the transfer to the state, because once it's out of our hands, because you're okay, you guys are doing a great job, but it's the transfer, and it's all in the machines, the software. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, any more, are these in regards to the latest motion? Or are we reiterating the first motion?
Well, I just want to talk to what you just talked about,
Okay.
Kevin, when you made the other motion.
You have,
We're not talking about going to another set of machines. We already heard that machine is $100,000. We don't have that kind of money. We got a lot of smart people in this county that can sit down and figure out the timeline and make this work. So give us a chance. That's all we're asking.
With respect to more information about a hand count, I would respectfully ask how you plan to do that in a fair, nonpartisan way.
It was always that easy.
Because you would have to have an equal number from each party to do it. You would have to have a process that assures the count is accurate. So say, count each ballot or count a stack of ballots 3 times, get the same number 3 times all the time. And the logistics of the whole thing is a little bit complicated. So make sure you have a process in place before you decide how to do it. Now, it doesn't matter how many people are sitting around in this room advocating for a hand count. What matters is how many of each party you can get to do it. So, I mean, after that.
Thank you. Dallas Anderson. I heard somebody mention Disability Act. What does that have to do with anything? The point is, we're not asking to change everything, like tear down the building and build a new one. Every registered voter in the county is going to get a ballot in the mail. There it is. It's a paper ballot. They fill it out, put it back in the envelope, mail it to Kelly, or bring it in here. What more? I think I probably, between myself and Jack, could generate at least 40 people that would come and help count votes.
Thank you. Any other comments on the second motion? Okay. Hearing none, there's a motion to defer this to the meeting on the 5th, correct?
The 5th is very full.
The 5th is very full.
Let's do it now. The 6th is open, just for consideration.
I think I will leave it on the 5th. There's a motion to defer this to the meeting on the 5th for decision, giving time to get some answers and some more information. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay, I think we should do it now. We're not going to learn anything.
Yes.
And that motion carries. I do thank everyone for your time.
We're done. It's over.
Thank you for your family. Good input. Good to have the citizens
Your
out.
mother, I visited her in the
We did.
care home many, many times.
Yeah.
June was the month she.
Okay, next item on
Colleen.
our agenda.
Well,
is
similar
Nice to meet
backgrounds, but maybe we'll talk
That's a
later.
talk. You still current?
Review of the quote,
We live in
new break room flooring.
Oh,
Tom, you got this one?
Yeah.
I did stealth units. I just love what I did. So I reached out to. Thanks for everything. Jeff Holmberg to get us updated advice on the flooring for the break room.
Yes.
Think that's in your packet, correct? I got a copy of that.
We got it.
Went up $100 both on the labor and the materials.
Just because of gas or something, and price of doing business. Want to take a break?
Okay, Let's take a short break and I need to step out of the room for a second. I think I can go out the back door.
If it doesn't benefit by every citizen.
Right. Or it doesn't
He's
need
doing
to.
it wrong. I want to tell him.
Yeah, man, do what you gotta do.
Morning, Tom. Good morning, sir. How are you? I'm recovering. Yeah, sure. You recovering? Yes. Yeah. Had 3 major surgeries in 2 years. You're still kicking.
It's. But I did learn something. I learned that if you follow
The last 2 Decembers I spent in the
at a
hospital.
reasonable distance, they might actually plow a hole in the berm so you can get a rubber too. That's pretty important.
Sure.
Motivating, so that's a good thing.
If I sit down, I'll die.
There you go.
And if I die, I can't pass up to harass you.
Good to see you.
We appreciate it. Nobody in the county would ever fault you for doing something to develop the citizens of the county.
Our next item that on our agenda will be review of the quote for the new break room flooring. Tom.
Thank you, sir. As I was saying earlier, I asked Jeff to revisit his bid on that material for the break room. Both the material and the labor. So let me add those together real quick.
Is that different than what we had, Tom?
Yes.
This hard.
Well, I don't know what you have there, but it's different than his original quote, so.
This one has
$2,125, so that would, and this material is the same stuff that's in the foyer of Human Services, laminate flooring, not the carpet.
So the total is 2,000 now, not 1,300?
1,380 and 745 for labor.
Oh, okay, so I have.
I'll do it for 400.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's gone up. I think his other bid, I could pull it up and look real quick. I think it was back in July of last year, July of August, so it's gone up total of $200 there. The other thing is you would need to pay for the material before he orders it, which is $1,380.42. And he told me that that would include one extra box of flooring, so that if something went wrong, either in Human Services or the break room, we'd have an extra box, 10 pieces in a box. He did not have any left over on the Human Services job, so, you know, the tile gets cut or whatever, not tile, but the flooring, they wouldn't have any to replace it, so. You can see the bids there, the trip and delivery, the installer, and tear out the old carpet.
So is there tile in there? I can't remember.
Carpet.
Just carpet, right, in our break room.
So I didn't want to give him a go ahead without bringing this to the commissioners because it was a change in the price. We had really voted to move forward with this, but we never revisited after we got $1 of price attached to it. So with that, I would move that we authorize Carpet Direct to install that flooring in the break room.
I'll second it. You're talking buy and install.
Yeah.
Right,
this will include the material and the installation.
Okay, I have a motion to move forward and authorize Carpet Direct to get the materials and install the flooring in the break room. Discussion. Anything from the floor?
Want to do it for 400?
Materials for less, I'm sure. Just go Home Depot. And I've done it. I've laid that kind of floor.
Everything's going up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it was only $100. Okay, those in favor of moving forward with Carpet Direct to install the flooring in the break room signify by saying aye.
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 I will let him know that. Thank you. And then on a related topic real quick, Courts approached me and they're of the opinion that we need to take a serious look at replacing that flooring in the courthouse, in the courtroom. I measured it, there's 1,600 square feet.
Hey.
The carpet that Carpet Direct installed in the Human Services was whatever, 7 square feet. No, $7 divided by 4 square feet would give us a square foot price. Less than $2 to do it, $1.80, $1.85. So I think we ought to also look at doing that. I know we're mid-budget year. Maybe we don't get it done this year, but I think we at least ought to.
You can get some quotes, right?
Quote and
And,
Consider it sometime.
know what we're looking at. It's $7 for 4 square feet. I think I remember I looked, it was 20 or calculated was 2,100, 2,200 bucks for the material. It wasn't much. Those, if you haven't seen it, look at that tile and the carpet, I'm sorry, it's carpet in the human services. I think, it's dark in color, and I think it would be advisable to consider doing that since we've already got some in the county building. Plus, the nice thing about those 4 square foot pieces, something gets destroyed, damaged, or stained, jerk them up and glue down a new piece.
That's a lot better.
I don't think I'd support rolled carpet in that courthouse again. Seams are going to pieces in there. It's starting to ripple and buckle. It's a tripping hazard. And so if it's all right with you guys, I'll move forward and try to get some traction on that.
Get something to
Again,
consider.
maybe we don't this year. I'm not saying that one way or the other, but I think we need to have some figures in front of us.
Yeah, if we can get some quotes, we can look at that, and if we don't have it for now, we get that appropriated for next year.
And it is, as you guys well know, it is our responsibility to deal with the maintenance and upkeep of the courtroom inside the county building, so. Thank you.
Okay. Next item up is the discussion of the AT&T tower, and you have that one as well, sir.
Thank you. I believe I sent those documents to you. Really, it's almost housekeeping. We had agreed we wouldn't take a final vote until we saw their language on the change of that contract. Refresh your memory, it was to change the increase in the lease from 2% a year to 10% every 5 years. And that was it. That's the only change in the contract. So
I thought it was a good change.
yeah, I mean, it's
cheaper.
As he explained, and I mentioned before, it's that company, Singular Wireless, is changing kind of how all of their lease agreements are dealt with. And he said that is one of the biggest changes that we're correcting, is trying to get these 5-year cycles instead of dealing with that every year.
And refresh my memory, Tom, that was what the county gets paid for that, right?
Yes, it is. See if I can lay my hands on the exact language. I think it was number 3. They are not modifying the rent. It's still $1,600 a month. It is only the future rent increase is how the lease talks about it, Kelly. The agreement is amended to provide that commencing on December 18th, 2028, the rent shall increase by 10% and at the beginning of each renewal term, which is 5 years.
Better.
So it will stay like it is my understanding. It's what I was told until
5 years.
Yeah. Which surprised me. I thought they'd put in 2023, but
That's commencing on December 18th of 2028.
Correct.
That's actually
5.5 years from now. Our current lease expires in December of 23.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why they didn't do it then.
From that.
Yeah. I can follow up with you and make sure that's not a typo.
That makes
but
sense, but-
It doesn't to me, but I said, you're sure the dates? Yep. I said, okay. And let me just read this too. For the term of the agreement shall be amended to provide that the current term, which commenced on December 18th, 2018, and shall expire on December 17th, 2023. Hereafter, the term shall include the current term and any applicable renewal term. So
they're letting it go another 5 years without signing again, apparently. We signed this.
well, this isn't the whole lease. This is just an amendment to the lease.
That's what I mean.
So we may have to.
Resign in 23.
Yeah. That would be my guess. I don't know that for sure, but this will change the lease, but it doesn't. I think we'll have to execute a new lease in 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I just think it's some housekeeping on them. It's not going to impact us really, other than getting a 2% raise every year for 5 years. So.
And I think we visited with you when this first came to us, Clint. You have any input here?
No, it looks fine to me.
Okay.
And just as a quick aside, I mentioned it the last time we had this discussion. He asked me to provide the owner, the location, and the signatory for the county. And I said, well, most likely be the chairman. So, and of course, they already had the address, but I confirmed that.
Okay.
And the owner, of course, is Custer County. The owner of the land, we don't own the tower. We own the land.
Okay.
So I think it's fairly straightforward, really.
Anything else?
No, I would encourage us to have a motion and vote on this so we can.
Okay, I move we accept the proposed lease agreement contract as presented by AT&T to us.
And for clarification, it's the amendment.
The amendment to the
It's not
contract.
the contract itself, yeah.
The amendment to the contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a motion to accept the amendment to the lease agreement contract as presented. Any other discussion?
Just for transparency, this is with New Singular Wireless out of Delaware. Well, it's an LLC out of Delaware, but their offices are in Georgia.
Okay, any other discussion? Anything from the floor? Okay.
You do wireless work?
$400.
Yeah, so I will reach out to him and let him know. As you guys know, this is a draft copy that he's provided us. We don't need to sign it. But I will let him know that we voted on that change.
Here in just a second, we will.
Sorry.
Those in favor signify by saying
Good point.
aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. If you would not mind reaching back out to him, let him know we
I
voted
will
on
do
that.
that. It's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, we did it. We didn't tell him.
Okay. Does anyone have any additional items of business?
We had one that we added, didn't we? Resolution.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Grant strategy. or whatever.
Ratification of my signature on the RREO.
Yeah.
Grant, that came in needing a signature before our meeting. I did sign off on that and would like to have that signature ratified here today if we could.
What is RREO?
That is recycle resources and
I can't remember.
economic opportunity. EO.
I move that we ratify your signature for the Rio grant.
I will second that. RREO, commonly known as our recycle grant with Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, Cal. Joni's grant.
That was a mouthful.
The Rio grant.
And can I get a copy of that possibly? Signed grant?
Of the grant?
See, you're logging all the grants now, right? Dorothy? You are now.
The other day.
I've got a copy of that.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Sure, I have it, Kelly.
Yeah, we're trying to make you copy CC on all of them.
And CC me too.
And
That would be great.
yeah, it's not a bad idea. Actually,
Since I'm the keeper of the document.
but you got the authority on it. So
That's the first time we've
Maybe
ever
we
heard
make sure
one
she
of
gets
those
it.
documents.
First time we ever offered.
Yeah, I went back and looked at that grant the other day and thought that it was interesting that that truly is a waste diversion grant. The whole purpose of that $380,000 was to divert material from the landfill.
To where?
They didn't care.
It doesn't matter.
As long as it didn't end
As
up
long as
in
it
the
grinds
landfill.
up and gets shipped out of the county, huh?
Yeah, the whole purpose was to divert from the landfill, and I kind of had forgotten that, but obviously.
That's what we're doing when we're bailing.
That is, send it to someplace else, which obviously the grant didn't want us to do that, but then the recycle comes into play, so. Yeah, and we're making strides in that area. Of course, the building's done, the shipping containers here. We're in the process of purchasing some trailers to use as receptacles for the recycle. But the most exciting news is our very efficient administrative assistant submitted a grant or a reimbursement for funds to CDPHE yesterday for 119,000 and some. So yeah, that'll be great to get that. I think we met all the hurdles they put in front of us to submit those reimbursement requests. So I meant to ask Braden during his sort of report today. $119,000, a lot of money. I couldn't tell anybody where that money came from up front. Had to come out of general fund, but other than that. So I'll have a conversation about that moving forward. That leaves us, what did we say, 200 and some thousand yet to go. I think, and it's on a reimbursable basis, so we got to upfront that money. So I would like to think maybe we get this 119 back, we can kind of mentally earmark it. We can't really park that, I don't think.
But it's in the general fund.
But yeah, we put it in the general fund and kind of earmark it unless we roll that into the recycle account or into the landfill account. But we're trying to separate landfill and recycle, so that would be.
Yeah, I think he's got a pretty good plan on the process now.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'll ask Braden where that 119 came from and if we can quote unquote afford to earmark that money so we don't
get the other two.
Surprising and raiding the general fund to cover the upfront expenses on the rest of that grant. We'll get the money back. That's not the point. It's just timing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're able to go ahead and roll that in and use that moving forward, it'd be helpful.
Yeah.
And Tom, I believe it was 199.
199. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Who seconded that?
I can't even remember what the motion was.
Bill made the motion, Tom seconded the motion.
You seconded.
Oh, to do the REO.
On the signature ratification.
Ratifying, that's right. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not hearing any other discussion then now. Those in favor of ratifying that signature signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Which is, I don't know why I got off on a tangent with all that other stuff. Had nothing to do with ratification. I'm sorry.
Okay, any other new business?
Well, let me look at my old agenda that has a revision date of 2/27 on the bottom of it. And then I see today we're operating off of one that has a revision date of 3/30, right?
Correct.
That is correct.
I gave you a copy of it.
I do have a copy of it, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Inside joke there a little bit on the revision dates. I have none, sir.
Okay. Bill?
No.
Okay, that brings us to our last section for public comment. If anyone here would like to make a public comment, feel free to do so at this time.
Anybody online still?
It's 14.
I'm not seeing any hands.
Comment about anything or?
Yeah, if there's something that you would like to comment on,
We can
here
consider
to us
later.
at this time. I'm good. I'm just curious. Yeah.
So it was a very interesting meeting today, and it was good to see the civic engagement. But I am disheartened that the citizens did not really give credit to Kelly Camper and her integrity as voting in this county. I know that there's an issue nationally and statewide, that is quite clear, but all the rhetoric and all them saying that they trust Kelly, yet their actions might have been a little bit on the other side. So I hope that the commissioners trust that Kelly is doing the job that she is supposed to be doing. And sure, there's something amiss with Dominion, but I think when it comes to Custer County, that we are in good hands with a very reliable county clerk that has integrity and honesty in the job that she is doing.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Did you have your hand?
I would entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn if you're entertaining.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You mean you're entertaining us for lunch?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. I do have I have to go to a meeting.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 11:58 my time.